Episode 108, 109, 110, and 111. Let's go. So, yeah, I'm reviewing all 4 of these episodes at once. 1, to catch up, obviously. 2, because the Mega Evolution special thing with Roy and Ult, that clearly is episode 112, 113, and 114. So I'm gonna review all of that at once. It's very clear that all belongs as like one thing. And then the Rising Again arc will officially start there. So yeah, I mean, everything that is in this section pretty much all fits together with the battle that does take place. So I feel it's appropriate to go ahead and review all of it at once, because yeah, all of these events pretty much take place one after another. So it makes sense that they're all reviewed together. So episode 108 is Diana Comes Back. This episode, Diana's back. I mean, literally, that it's in the title. And Diana's a character I really like, because she shows up, but she doesn't like take over the story. When she shows up, everybody talks to her, they do what they need to do, and then she leaves. Like, there's some times where she stays for multiple episodes, and other times where she just shows up and she leaves. This is one of those situations where she shows up and then leaves. She basically shows up to pretty much dump some information she's got, because she was able to talk with Hamber. And because she was able to talk with Hamber, they are discussing like information they exchange back and forth on the Explorers. Turns out that Amathio's father got in some information with the Explorers, but unfortunately he got held captive. And with that being said, we also learn that, at least the heroes know, that all of these 6 heroes are being held hostage in the Explorers area, because Ult actually is the one to figure that out. And I actually do like Ult's interaction with Diana, with Liko Grandmother, because like, hey, old lady, who are you? And she's like, who are you calling old lady? He's like, my name's Ult. She's like, my name's Diana. What's up? Like, it's kind of cool just to see an old lady and some just kid be tight like that at first sighting. It's pretty funny. I actually do like it. From there, though, we see that while they're discussing all that important information, looks like Char Cadet wants to get some training in to get stronger. And I'm gonna tell you this right now, I like Char Cadet heavy. Char Cadet's easily one of my favorite of Liko's Pokemon, just because, yes, Char Cadet is essentially just a small little unevolved fire Pokemon that realistically shouldn't be holding up as much of a fight against a lot of these Pokemon as it should. But, so I can't explain it. Something about Char Cadet I just really respect. When I see Char Cadet fight, I'm just like, yeah, it's got heart. I love it. Like, I can't hate it. Even if there's some fights that definitely looks like it shouldn't be anywhere near strong enough to hold its own in them, there's sometimes where I look at Char Cadet and I'm just like, no, I'll give him a pass. There's a lot of fights that look like they just don't make sense in the grand scheme of things. But when I see Char Cadet fight, part of me just doesn't care. The fact that Char Cadet can even get a hit in some of these fights, to me, I'm just impressed by that alone. So we do cut to the fight that Liko has against Diana for training purposes. In this fight, I'm gonna be honest with you, the animation's trash. I wish the animation was good, or at least as good as it was when Char Cadet fought Cerule Edge a couple episodes back. But yeah, literally the animation is what's preventing me from being fully invested in this fight. I see there's a situation where she caught Rotom Wash and it uses like Hydro Pump everywhere. Well, in the fight, we see that Liko winds up pulling Char Cadet out of the way, because Char Cadet wants to defend Masquerada with its Flash Fire ability. But if it did that, it would have got hit by the Hydro Pump. So Liko tells Masquerada to reel it back using its Vine, but that winds up working against them. And unfortunately, Masquerada loses. Masquerada's been getting his butt kicked a lot in recent fights, just because I guess Char Cadet's the new kid on the block, so it's got to like show it up a little bit. It does manage to beat it wasn't Arcanine. It managed to beat Rotom. It managed to beat Rotom Wash, but it lost to Arcanine itself, which, fine, whatever. It's okay. I think it more than did its job, so that's good. And then we end up, after that training session, Diana pretty much leaves and we're done with that episode. We move on to the next episode, which is 109, How Tinkatuff Makes Its Ultimate Hammer. This episode pretty funny just because like Sango and Onyx are basically like celebrities now because they show off the strong spears, and now that they're like celebrities, they end up getting like free gifts and they get haunted down when they try to do like things they like to do. Like I think Onyx likes to go to like udon noodle shops, and Sango wanted to get like a strawberry cream cake, so they ended up giving her one because they like her so much. Then we end up running into this creepy old man that likes her. He's like a taxi driver with a Corviknight taxi driver or whatever. I didn't know how I felt about that. Like if you look at Japan culture, he's probably saying she's cute like platonically, like oh, this girl is so cute, oh my god, like I just want to pinch her cheeks type of cute. But obviously it's very clear that if you look too deep into it, into like the West or whatever, it can start to get more like devious vibes, more like dangerous vibes that I don't want to dig into. But it's a scene. Anyway, during this, I think the funniest moment is when Tinka Tough winds up losing some metal that it was trying to get to make its hammer, and it loses it because it gets picked up by a delivery truck that's taking out like scraps of iron. Well, Tinka Tough is already on the airship, on the Brave Asagi, and it's on the airship and it's like sitting down, and it looks off and sees the scraps of metal and the truck that's like way below, and rather than like tell the others to land the plane or something, it just looks at the stuff, jumps off the trail, off the aircraft immediately. No questions asked. It's like, there's my stuff. It like jumps straight off the freaking aircraft. No questions asked. Like, what? That is so just diabolical. It reminds me, I can't remember what this one old cartoon, well, it's not old, but it was this one cartoon I saw on Cartoon Network, where it was either Cartoon Network or Disney. I can't even remember what the show was called, but it was like this little cat looking thing, and somebody had dropped an item and it went down a well, and rather than the cat just going, dang, that's gone, it jumps after it, grabs it, and flips all the way down to its doom. Like it doesn't even waste any time. It knows full well, like, I'm getting that. I don't care about death. But yeah, that was pretty funny. It was like funny that Tinka Tough just hopped off the ship immediately, no questions asked, just all right, bye. Like didn't consult with anybody or nothing. It was crazy. It does wind up running into Sango because Sango ends up getting the Corviknight taxi knocked down. Onyx and Sango get knocked down. And the reason they get knocked down is because Tinka Tough ends up seeing Corviknight. And during all of this madness, it's gaining a bond with Gimmighoul because Gimmighoul has lost its coin. So it helps Gimmighoul get the coin back. But during all of this, it knocks a rock down on Corviknight, and Corviknight falls because, you know, these things like to kill Corviknight. And there actually is a pretty good explanation for what happened. When it hits the Corviknight, the metal feathers just sort of come off. So I guess, but it's it's still a children's show, so they have to make it as like not really bloody or anything. They can't really make it brutal. So this is probably like the best they're gonna be able to do is just knock off the Corviknight's little metal feathers. So it looks like the Corviknight's overall okay. It just lost a couple of metal feathers. Where in like the video games, it's implied that Tinka Tough just basically kills Corviknight in order to use its body as like the hammer. So I mean, they did the joke, which is good, and they found a nice compromise for it. I like the fact that the blades are the feathers, and so it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool compromise. I'm not even gonna lie, it's pretty decent. From there, we do get a battle that I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't like. I know the battle is to get Tinka Tough to evolve into Tinkaton. Tinka Tough to evolve into Tinkaton. But Sango and Onyx are dumb in this fight. They literally sit and let things happen. Like I kid you not, they literally sit and let things happen. Like they for the longest. And I get like in one scene, Sango's laughing at Tinkaton for trying to lift the hammer that's so big. So I get that one, but the other scenes, they literally just sit and watch it like bang at the hammer. At one point, Dot catches up with our Pokemon, and Quaffle, much like Meowscarada actually, has been losing a lot, and it kind of has to lose a lot so that the other Pokemon can get their shine. Well, in this particular situation, Gimmighoul's like the only Pokemon left, so it's trying to like fight as much as it can to hold off while Tinkatuff is like hammering away at the metal so that it can become a big like thing. Well, during this, Gimmighoul gets knocked down, and it's very clear Glalie can just use an Ice Spinners and finish all this up, or Onix can have Garganacl use a move to beat Dot. But for some reason, there's just a long amount of time where it's just not doing any of that. And it's so stupid. Anyway, after all of that is done, Tinkatuff does wind up making the hammer. And I do like that Dot and all the other Pokemon and all her Pokemon get together and help Tinkatuff lift the hammer so that it can evolve into Tinkaton. That's actually a pretty nice detail. I do like that. Because it's not just that it made the hammer, it has to lift the hammer too in order to evolve. That's a good attention to detail. I think that's something that we can gel with. So when Tinkaton fights, it's pretty much stronger. And it's able to knock out Glalie. It's pretty funny. The moment it hits Glalie, Glalie does like a home run situation where it just flies out of the way. And that's pretty much the end of that. It is funny, but that episode basically transitions into the next episode. A lot of these episodes do a really good job of clicking together, which I've said Pokemon Horizons does a pretty good job of that anyway. But here, especially, these 4 episodes are more or less chain linked together. They all do a really good job of all just stacking into each other very perfectly, to a point where I think they wind up just doing recaps at the beginning of each of the episodes. So this episode basically ends with Roy, Liko, and Ult fighting off against the Explorers. The reason they're fighting off against the Explorers is because Dot was originally going to catch up with them, but because they went to go save Amathio's father that was held up in an area. Well, that turns out to be a trap. The Explorers wanted them to be there because Spinel had a trap set for them already for the 6 heroes to be used basically as bait so that they can do an experiment. We learned about this in the last episode with Onix and Sango saying that they got to go see the experiment that's being done. Well, the experiment is the Explorer stuff that's happening right at the base. So we move on to the next episode, which is titled The 6 Heroes Bare Their Fangs. Now, when they get there, they end up fighting off against the 6 heroes. And when they fight off against the 6 heroes, turns out they're being controlled via the super strong spheres. So the super strong spheres are like making them very corrupt. And because they're very corrupt, they are starting to fight a lot stronger than they normally would. And so because of that, they have to like fight them, and it gets like wild. And during the fight, each of the Pokemon are doing everything they can, but you can see that Ult is having a little bit of PTSD in the fight, or not PTSD, but it's very clear he's outmatched in this fight. All of them are, and it gets a little shaky. During the fight, though, they do manage to like hold them off a little bit so that Terapagos can use its power in order to like break away at the crystals that are surrounding them so that it can wear off the strong sphere stuff because it's made out of Raccoon. Well, during all of that, we can see that even though they cured them the one time, they end up using the strong spheres again on the Pokemon. And once that happens, the Pokemon are just like going crazy. And at that point, most of their Pokemon get wiped out except for Charcadet, Mega Dragonite, and I believe Mega Lucario. Or at least that's what, yeah, because these 2 episodes, 110 and 111, they both sort of count as one episode, and they're brought together. Amathio then later shows up in the fight with Zygarde, but Zygarde's only at 10% right now because he hasn't gathered all the Zygarde cells, which that makes sense, yeah. Because they could have easily had him like use a 50% Zygarde, but it's very clear they want him to like build up to that. So 10% Zygarde sadly is just gonna have to do, because then we see his Corviknight and his we see the Corviknight as well as his Cerulege end up fighting off against Sango and Onix. So it's a nice little compromise. But then I believe Sango and Onyx use strong spheres as well to make the Pokemon stronger. So it's very clear they're being overwhelmed. Like, it's a lot. The Pokemon put up a really good fight, but realistically they lose. Like, they get their butts kicked, actually. And the only reason that they're able to, like, survive is because the super strong spheres wear off. I guess the trade-off here is that the Pokemon get more aggressive and stronger, but the effects are more temporary. So the effects wear off and they're able to just barely get out of there. And Spinel basically just has them retreat at this point. So they won, but it's a toss-up. It's a big toss-up. So Ult gets frustrated by this, and then Ult wants to train in order to get stronger. Liko and the others feel like they need to regroup and train as well, but they get a little upset that Ult wants to train by himself, so they will, like, invite them to train all together. They don't know where to train yet until they get a call from Briar. Now, a few episodes back, Briar, in the Diana episode, they call Briar in order to see if they can, like, learn a little bit more about Terapagos and stuff, but Briar couldn't give them any information because she was too busy writing a book. Now that the book is over, conveniently after this battle, she invites them over to Blueberry Academy, which makes sense. They're marketing the DLC for Scarlet and Violet, which means now they can go to Blueberry Academy after the Mega Evolution special, and that's where they'll be going next. I'm gonna go ahead and just rate all of it at once, because I'm going to be real with you, the only weak episode out of all this is probably episode 109, which sadly is the Tinkertuff episode. Oh, by the way, Dot is fighting Agat, and I forgot about that fight because I hate the fight. When Dot fights Agat, she, like, Medicham is on this, like, is using the strong spear, and it's able to predict all the moves, but the reason it lost is because she had Tinkertuff try to attack and then stop attacking so that it could charge up, and then I think if the fight was better animated, I think I could have understood what happened a bit better, because from my perspective, the fight just looks very awkward. Every time she tried to hit, Medicham would dodge and attack. But then there were some times where Tinkertuff would charge and Medicham would hit it before it has the time to charge. So in this solution, she was like, charge, and Medicham just didn't attack. And then I guess she faked him out. She was like having Tinkertuff say it was gonna attack, and instead it was gonna charge instead. So it was ready to dodge, and instead it would have looked better if they had animated it better. So it looks so awkward. It just leaves you wondering what happened. But yeah, sadly, that's like the weak middle half of it, and that's probably the thing bringing the score down a little bit. But the overall special, one thing I didn't expect was for them to lose. They got their butts kicked. And like I said, I love Charcadet fighting. So yeah, it sucks that Masquerade is not the one that's like in the final 3 Pokemon. But seeing Charcadet be on the same league as like freaking the Mega Evolution Pokemon and like Cerulege and stuff, like seeing them all be together in like the same spot, like injured like that, I don't know, it's cool. I like that Cerulege winds up using its like Fire Soul Blade attack on Charcadet on purpose so that it can use Flash Fire to get stronger. I loved all of that. All of that was great. I loved all of that. That was great. Yeah. I'll give it an 8. I'm definitely giving it a strong 8. They even wound up using the second opening, the cool opening from Pokemon Horizons, the one that's the opening that I wanted them to use during Roy and Liko's fight. But overall, it's a good fight. I'll give them that. It's a good fight, but definitely I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Really good episode. But with that being said, yeah, I'm looking forward to the Mega Evolution stuff so that we can see what's going on with that. And then they'll be going to Blueberry Academy after that. So with that being said, I will see y'all then, everybody. The next 3 episodes, I'll be reviewing them all at once. Will be 112, 113, and 114, which is titled Roy, Training, Ult, Strongest, and Mega Evolution Bond. That being said, I'll see y'all then, everybody. Tyrone TG3 out.